a Brand's radio station.
Boy, Anthony Edwards really screwed up. He poked the bear, and even though it was 6'1" bear, that thing had some bite.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios.
The man your man could smell it.
Theo Dorsey is theoretically speaking.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
What does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
Streaming live on YouTube, here's Theo Dorsey.
Boy, game 1 of the NBA Finals last night was a good one. Yeah, I said that right. The NBA Finals last night, not because it's, me screwing up again, which I do often here on Theoretically Speaking. Theo Dorsey here, C-Cat there on the other side of the glass on the ones and twos. But I really do feel like the sentiment that people were putting on last round's affair between the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, that this team, whoever comes out of this battle, will win the NBA Finals. I think we jumped the gun there. I think it's really going to be the Wolves or the Mavericks. I'm not worried about what's happening in the Eastern Conference. A much maligned Eastern Conference, a very easy one. The Boston Celtics, the Pacers, they do play tonight. We'll get into that today. But what happened last night in game 1 of Mavericks Timberwolves, the beginning of this chess match between Jason Kidd and Chris Finch, between Luka Doncic and Ant Edwards, Kyrie Irving, and whoever the hell else is going to step up for the Timberwolves, because last night it wasn't Karl Anthony Towns. This is the epitome of basketball excellence, and this is going to be the series that produces the future champion of the NBA, and I just cannot wait. So last night, the Mavericks get the win over the Timberwolves, 108-105, and the huge glaring difference between this game and the rest of the ones that the Mavericks were playing was that guy, Kyrie Irving. And if you didn't see what happened following the Game 7 win by the Timberwolves when they beat the Denver Nuggets on their court, their third time beating the Nuggets on the road in that series to get the win, Anthony Edwards called out Kyrie Irving. And boy, did Kai respond. After Game 1, after the win in which Kyrie Irving had, 24 points in the first half, shot 11 for 14 in the first 2 quarters, getting everything started for the Mavericks, and Luka Doncic will carry them down the stretch. Kyrie Irving, he joined the desk with the Inside the NBA crew. Enjoy them while they still last here. And here's Kyrie Irving gloating about how he was sitting back, a family man, kicking it on his couch with his kids, 32 years old, getting ready for a series. He heard his name, and it evoked some motivation.
Yeah, we don't have that sound, Theo.
We don't have that sound?
We don't have that sound, Theo. You didn't send me that sound.
Wow, I did not send you that sound. Well, you know what? Kyrie Irving was motivated. He was a man on a mission last night. And what we do have from last night, before that game even tipped off, was Stan Van Gundy, who did talk specifically about the backcourt combination of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Because last night, it was like the opening act, Kyrie, who came out the gates swinging strong in whatever the heck those things were on his feet, making a fool out of Ant Edwards and his words. And then the closing act was Luka Doncic down the stretch, getting every single shot he wanted, whether it was from the elbow, step back three-pointers, or putting enough rim pressure on the defense to where he was kicking it out to open shooters that maybe didn't make, but definitely put more pressure on the Timberwolves. I did find this interesting, Stan Van Gundy leaning in on hyperbole. It's been an NBA postseason full of hyperbole, and last night on TNT's coverage of the NBA, of the Western Conference Finals Game 1, Stan Van Gundy making a bold proclamation about the backcourt of the Dallas Mavericks.
Coach, Dallas, they have 2 guys that are pretty electrifying as well.
Yeah, and Minnesota's top-rated defense is going to be challenged trying to slow them down. Arguably the best offensive backcourt in the history of the NBA in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving.
Did you say history?
In the history of the NBA.
See, that's the problem these days, though. We keep on spouting out hyperbole, just like how I said, this is the NBA Finals right now in the Western Conference Finals. We got Stan Van Gundy getting a little over his skis, calling Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving the best backcourt in the history of the league, like we didn't just watch Steph Curry and Klay Thompson not only reign over the NBA, but then also win 4 championships in the spans of like 8 years. It gets incredible. This is a direct result of everybody having a podcast, everybody having a platform, everybody trying to make declarative statements so that they can be the one floated around, buzzing all over the internet. I did like where Stan Van Gundy went, though, because he called his shot, and what we witnessed last night was Luka and Kyrie taking control of a game and taking home court away from the Timberwolves with an immaculate run. A little bit in the first half from Kyrie, a little bit in the second half from Luka, and not enough out of the big two for the Minnesota Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards, who was like, he looked like me if I tried to go out there and play some basketball right now, as out of shape as I am in the fourth quarter, hands on your knees, gasping for breath, standing up near the near half court, just hoping for a timeout, hoping for a break. Like it was bad for the Timberwolves last night, but they still only lost by 3 points. While the Mavericks' big two outplayed Anthony Edwards, which again, the greatest show in the NBA right now, and Karl Anthony Towns, I still felt a little bit reinforced in my pick for the Timberwolves winning the championship because they only lost by 3 points, and it felt like there was a little bit more of motivation, a little bit more of gusto, of angst on the side of the Mavericks, and part of that was because Anthony Edwards opened his mouth and said, I got Kyrie Irving.
And do you want to hear what Kyrie had to say about that?
There we go. Can we hear Kyrie Irving after the game?
Sorry, my bad.
Hey, Kyrie, you at home minding your business the other night.
Yeah, what about it?
You with your beautiful family just chilling, probably having a nice meal, and then the young fella says, I got Kyrie. So, and you said, excuse me?
Yeah.
And he said it again. He said, I got Kyrie.
Yeah.
That's the most aggressive you've been in a long time.
Yes, sir.
I know that had to irk you a little bit.
Well, use it as a motivation. You know, when I was sitting at home and I saw it, I was like, it's just a nod of respect. And then also, I knew what type of game it was going to be for game one and also for the rest of the series. So you're right. I was at home with my family watching Game 7.
You just minding your own business.
And then Ant comes out and says, I got Kyrie, but also that's a no-fear mentality, and that's why we love Ant. So coming out tonight, I knew that he was going to pressure me a little bit, but I knew that they were coming off a Game 7, grueling game, so their legs were biting them a little bit tonight. So hopefully Game 2, they come back and they settle a little bit more, but we'll be prepared.
That's the thing right there. Kyrie Irving being motivated up off his couch. I mean, this guy's a bucket getter anyways. He's a scorer, one of the most skilled guards we've ever seen. Really, you don't have to relegate it to guard. Really one of the most skilled players to ever pick up a basketball. But what he did and what the Mavericks did last night was out-hustle, outsmart, and outplay the Timberwolves, and it still only amounted to a 3-point win. See, Kat, you know what I did immediately after the Timberwolves lost that game last night and everybody was turning on Anthony Edwards and saying, I don't know, is he lacking the luster now? You want to know what I did?
No, I don't know. What did you do?
Hopped right on my phone, hopped on that Hard Rock Bet app, and I put money down that the Timberwolves would win this series.
That's a man who's confident in the words he's saying.
It was plus odds, and they came into the series favorite, and now they had plus odds. I said, I'll go ahead and take that bet. And also, I just don't see the Timberwolves stinking it up like they did offensively specifically, but then also the drop coverage they were playing. I'm not going to get into the details of the X's and O's of the thing, but I'll go to Chris Finch, who spoke hours ago to the media, and when you look at this game and the way it played out, coming into this series, the Minnesota Timberwolves were the bigger team. They were the team that created or should have been able to create more mismatches. You got multiple 7-footers. You got Karl Anthony Towns who can score inside and out, whereas the Mavericks were the one that dominated the paint, outscoring the Timberwolves 62-38 within the paint. They were the ones to out-rebound the Timberwolves by 8 on the Minnesota Timberwolves home court. And they forced the Minnesota Timberwolves into taking 49 three-pointers. When you have a size advantage, especially in the playoffs, and you're at home, you want to set the tone by putting pressure on the defense. And it's almost like the Mavericks outwitted the Timberwolves. And you can kind of tell by the way that Chris Finch sounds today reflecting on Game 1.
Been just disappointed in your effort, your performance, your attitude, your application, your attention to detail. It just wasn't there. Western Conference Finals started. I'm not sure if they got the memo, but they got it this afternoon. So, our approach, we just played flat. Game plan was not on point for execution. Decision making on offense was not very good. Got beat by a lot of hustle plays, transition, offensive rebounds, stuff like that. It just can't happen.
That's head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Chris Finch, following the Game 1 loss of the Timberwolves to the Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals. Now, I've been saying this. This is the NBA Finals right here. The winner of this series between the Mavericks and the Wolves is going to be the team to hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy at the end of the road. Another thing here, it does feel like the Mavericks have the better 1-2 punch. I actually tweeted out a poll here that will release the results in a few. Who has the best 1-2 punch remaining in these NBA playoffs between Luka and Kyrie for the Mavericks, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown for the Celtics, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns for the Timberwolves, and then Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam for the Indiana Pacers? And what it proved out last night was that Luka and Kyrie had a better game. Now, theoretically speaking, they do have the better tandem. What plays out through 7 games in this series will be the narrative that we shift to. But what we saw last night was the Timberwolves being outsmarted, outplayed. There was not a lot of resistance from them, and it kind of reminds me of why I do believe this is going to be the NBA Finals. Because on the other side, in the Eastern Conference, we're watching the Boston Celtics, who play the Pacers tonight at home in Game 2, have the easiest route to the NBA Finals I've seen a team go through, and it might be getting a little easier for them coming soon. And with that said, it's time for a Baptist Health injury report.
My leg! I am not angry. I am in pain. My leg!
Time now for an injury report.
My head and torso! Wow, that's crazy. They hit me everywhere except my legs!
Presented by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Go where the pros go.
My leg!
Boston Celtics tip off at home tonight at 8 o'clock against the Indiana Pacers, looking to take a 2-0 lead against Indiana, and they'll do so with the help of Xavier Tillman. He will be available tonight, the forward for the Celtics. The bad news is Kristaps Porzingis still out. Still out. There was optimism before this series started that Kristaps, the 7'3" forward who can knock it down from deep and also protect the rim, would be back maybe by Game 3. Hope still out for that one, but he's been officially ruled out for tonight's game, Celtics versus Pacers. The Celtics a 9-point favorite to take a 2-0 lead in the Eastern Conference Finals, or is like what I would call it is the series to see who gets to get beat by the team that wins out of the West. That Baptist Health Orthopedic Care injury report presented to you by Baptist Health. Are you experiencing foot and ankle pain and need to see an expert in the field? Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has a team of foot and ankle orthopedic surgeons and specialists who are regarded as leaders in their specialty. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho to learn more today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care combines its resources of experienced physicians and leading-edge treatments and technology to provide advanced orthopedic, foot and ankle, joint replacement, spine, and sports medicine care. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho for more information today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has offices conveniently located in Palm Beach County through the Florida Keys. Learn more by visiting baptisthealth.net/ortho. What a Thursday here on Theoretically Speaking. We're going to have Tina pull up in a few. Our best friend going to have some theoreticals with her, as well as we got the get around today for you all. Also, C-Cat, I do want to make mention, because I gave you a shout out for beating me in golf on Tuesday, we did start something new up here on Theoretically Speaking. We're having our picks against the spread for the NBA playoffs. And can we give the people an updated record on you and I? There's only been 2 games so far, and I think one of us is undefeated.
Yeah, you're 2-0, and I'm 1-1. Victory lap now.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to something you said earlier. I like the Timberwolves bet a lot, betting them to win the series after they dropped Game 1.
Yeah.
Because we saw that last weekend that the Timberwolves are not afraid of playing on the road.
Not at all.
Like, they're not behind the 8 ball here. It's not a different team like we're talking about the 76ers, who were dominant at home and couldn't win a game on the road. That team is not afraid of anybody. By dropping home court advantage in Game 1, that doesn't mean a thing.
We just watched them play against the defending champion Denver Nuggets, who have looked unstoppable, especially in the postseason since the tip-off of last year's playoffs. And they won not 1, not 2, but 3 road games against Jokic and Murray. No injuries. It wasn't like somebody was missing or hobbled or fatigued. A full-strength Nuggets team. We watched the Timberwolves beat them 3 times on their home court. This team doesn't fear anybody. And I think Part of it is, though, C-Cat, we're learning what that learning curve is like in the NBA right in front of our eyes because we have a 22-year-old Anthony Edwards who has never been in this situation before. He just came off of one of the most, I would say, the most emotional basketball game of his life. They were down 15 points at Ball Arena in Game 7 against the Nuggets, and they came back and won. And then he had to learn what it was like not only to build his body back up, the stamina back up for a Game 1, but also to emotionally reset for Game 1. And it came out a little flat. And Kyrie cooked them from the jump. And that's an experience thing.
And not to get too inside sports gambling, but it's effectively betting a game live. Like if your favorite NFL team is going to win a game 27-10, that means that the team that you think is going to lose, your favorite team's opponent, is going to score 10 points. If they score 7 points, jump on your favorite team. Jump on the team you think is going to win.
Double
down. If your favorite team drops Game 1, but you think this team's going to win in 6, they got to lose a couple of games in order to win the series in 6.
Exactly how it goes. Nobody was calling a Timberwolves sweep before the Mavs and the Timberwolves got together here. Dallas winning Game 1 is only going to set the Timberwolves back up for the expectation that, hey, we are now fighting from behind again, and we've seen what they've looked like in that position because they were just down 3-2 to the defending champions with a 3-time MVP. If they can solve that puzzle, I'm more than confident that this Timberwolves team can figure out Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, even though Kyrie Irving looks like a man possessed.
Yeah.
And he looks like a totally different animal. And, in fact, do we have time for one more set before? I know we got to get to Tina.
No, yeah, we got time.
Tina's about to pull up. I want you all to hear specifically Brian Windhorst on NBA today talking about how Kyrie Irving looks like a totally different animal with this Mavericks team and how he's supporting Luka Doncic and almost like, you know, we remember when Kyrie won that title with LeBron James in 2016 in a supporting role. It feels like he's earned some stripes in that role and is using some of that experience with Luka. Take a listen.
What you see about Kyrie is a player who's different in mind, body, and spirit. And the way I see it, he's truly invested in making Luka the best player he can be. This is something that is actually so rare and actually in a way so remarkable on the NBA level when you have a player who's probably headed for the Hall of Fame who is willing to do whatever he can to help his teammate, whether that means scoring a lot, whether that means passing, whether that means helping him defensively. And listening to Luka talk about Kyrie, I've never heard Luka talk about a teammate the way he's talking about Kyrie, how Kyrie does things that help him all throughout the game, off the court. He talks about these long meals that they have together and their bond.
Tap in with us on YouTube at Theo Speaking. That right there, though, again, Kyrie Irving, his growth right now, he's having somewhat of a renaissance right now, right in front of our eyes, where everybody was dogging him for the past 3-4 years. Now he's one step closer, 7 wins away from an NBA title. We're going to study this if they're able to actually pull this thing off. I don't think they'll be able to. What we're about to pull off is a Theoreticals with our friend Tina. She's going to pull up on us, and specifically, I have to start with something with her, and it's about Charles Barkley and his comments last night. I fear the Chuckster may have finally gone too far on Inside the NBA on TNT. We'll get Tina to clear that up for us. C-Cats in the house on the ones and twos. I'm Theo Dorsey. We're Theoretically Speaking on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios.